network, and I'm happy to say Laura Souter is in my network with Bell Agency. She is a seasoned brand expert, educator, and brand guru around strategy and design, working primarily, at this time with entrepreneurs as well as longtime company founders to feel confident about what their company looks like in the marketplace. Answer those challenging questions. Do I go this way? Do I go that way? She has worked with multinational companies like Fidelity, Biogen, TJX, and mid to smaller size companies as well. So I don't want to take up a lot of time talking about Laura. Sorry, Laura, but I know that you have so much to share, and she's prepared an overview for us today, but really allowing time to kind of dig in and ask the questions that are going through. I know each of you are in different parts of your business, but how do you go to the next level? How do you get it to where you want to be and what your brand reflects about you in doing that? Laura?
Hi, thank you so much, Adrienne, and of course, Ashley as well. And thank you all for being here today. I am a seasoned guru. I have been around the block a few decades now, and I could either be old or a guru, so I chose guru.
Yeah, I like guru.
But today we're really going to focus on personal branding, and there's so much to it. And really the process is very similar, no matter if it's a corporation or just a person, and you'll kind of see how people drive corporate brand values a little bit later. But I describe personal branding as a cocktail. So I know it's a little early in the morning, but
maybe.
part essence, part reputation, and part marketing. So think of that when you think about branding, think about cocktails. So let's get started. I assume I have sharing capability.
Yeah, you should be good. If you're not, let me know. There you go.
All right. So I probably won't be able to see the chat. So just shout out if you have something that you need to share. All right. I'm just closing some of my windows here. All right. So I am Agency Bell. My company, as I mentioned, is 23 years old. And prior to having my own business, I did work both in New York City agencies, but also in corporate. So after New York City, I moved to Walden Books and Borders Books when they were around in the Midwest, and I was their corporate creative director with over 1,200 stores. So I have run a department as well as been on the agency side. So as Adrienne mentioned, I am a brand strategist and designer. I also do the implementation and the marketing after the brand has been launched for small as well as larger companies. Lindy, you mentioned you were with Raytheon. I did a gentle rebrand in 2007, so I know Raytheon's brand inside and out and wrote the corporate guidelines on your intranet. So, so let's talk a little bit about the global concept of branding. What is a brand? Well, I have this saying that it's not difficult if we pull together in the same direction. And I use this analogy of a rowboat. The rowboat is drifting off a shore, and there's someone on the dock, there's someone over by the lighthouse, there's an oil tanker out to sea, all trying to help the rowboat. And everybody's well-intentioned and well-meaning, but at the end of the day, the rowboat doesn't go anywhere because everyone's pulling in different directions. So I believe that no matter what is created, if it's done with consistency and intention, your brand will get to where you want to go. And the strategy piece is really about creating that roadmap so that road, that a stray rowboat is going to be brought into one direction and become safe. At the end of the day, branding is an invention of our own design in our own mind. Walter Landor was instrumental in creating advertising back in the day. So products are created in the factory, but brands are created in the mind. We get to make this up. We get to say what this is and what this isn't. And for our purposes today, we're really focusing on ourselves as the brand. You are smaller business owners, maybe emerging, Perhaps you work within a larger team. Even if you're working under the umbrella of a corporation, at the end of the day, you are still the person doing the work. Someone is hiring you or going to you as the expert. And I say that you are the greatest asset to your brand. There's no one like you. You are the most unique person on the planet. And it's those characteristics and qualities that really create who you are and who you aren't. So let's take a look. So this is, again, something that we've invented. Yes, there are logos. Yes, there's websites and all those good things like business cards. But at the end of the day, you're really marketing your authentic self. And it's knowing about who you are and, again, being consistent and clear, like with the rowboat analogy, so that that gets stuck in the minds of your customers, the employees, your bosses, etc., anyone who comes in contact with your brand. So Tony Robbins says it's not what we get, it's who we become, what we contribute that gives the meaning to our lives. So let's dig deep and understand yourself, because that is the biggest differentiator. Again, no one is like you, no one has your DNA, nobody has the personality, the persona that is you. And back in the 90s, there was Tom Peters' book, The Brand Called You. So if you haven't taken a look at that, or maybe you did in the 90s, check it out from the library and take a look. It's still relevant today, even though there's been other books written since, but I really love it. So again, when a client is coming to you, they're buying you. Yes, perhaps you work in an organization, they're still going to you as the expert. So what we want to do is, again, try to figure out what that unique personality is, but also what that niche is within your marketplace. We want to look at what you're known for, and then we want to look at how you articulate that through your positioning. And that is reflective in your vision, your values, but also in how you present yourself through tone of voice and the visuals. And then we get to talk about who you want to connect with. So how do you know when you have a good brand or when you don't have a good brand? So here's a nice list. You can take screenshots if you'd like. A good example of branding is when you are known. You are known as the go-to person or company for what it is that you do. You are the brand authority. You're attracting great customers. Your talent is staying. You guys are all in HR, so you understand the value of keeping good people. I have a client right now who's in the medical space, and it's all about getting the right people, as you know. And that is her number one issue in her job and running her business is getting candidates to stay and stick around. So it also helps you attract a premium price. And how do you know if you have a bad brand? Well, you're not delivering on your promises. You don't have the customer loyalty. You're not getting the right people through the door, and you're not really that different from your competition. Branding really helps you, again, be that one linear pathway from customer to you. So with personal branding, I believe it is about creating authenticity. I say this to corporations as well, by the way. It's not just for individual solopreneurs. But to create an authentic brand, a personal brand, I boil it down into 5 sections: mindset, mission, mood, message, and momentum. So with mindset, you're creating that personal connection of who you be, who you are with the brand. Mission, it's all about the things that you care about. Those are the things that are going to emotionally connect the people to who you are as a company owner. The mood, this is a ownable, and I stress ownable, tone of voice, but also the look and feel. That will help you stand out. And then you want to tell your story through the words and the content you put out there with your website, your LinkedIn profile, wherever your brand meets the customer. And then momentum, of course, getting it out there, being consistent, and having that roadmap be successful. So again, mindset, mission, mood, message, and momentum. So mindset, this is important. And I believe we are all women in this group. So I feel, and this is my own personal opinion, that sometimes as business owners, we sometimes have shaky beliefs about who we are in the marketplace. It's really about believing in yourself and believing what you stand for. You want to be yourself and be unshakable and honest about that and not worry about other outside influences. You want to be honest and hopefully share, not tell, but share your story and use real images. So the first step is to work on personal growth in my mind. And again, I'm a business owner too. I start the day with meditation, with reading positive books, messages. Again, what you read, I think there's a quote like, "What if you read, you succeed." Um, so I'm just going to look around the room, little show of hands. Who does personal development reading for themselves? Adrian, can you see? Okay, good. Yeah, I can see lots of hands. Good. So this is a really important thing. This is going to improve your mindset and help you believe in yourself so that you can believe in your brand. So here I am on vacation reading Psycho Cybernetics, very good book. Whether it be creating vision boards or journaling, doing some of the strategic work that we'll discuss later on for yourself to figure out who you are. You could look at your archetype, do yoga, meditation, whatever it is to get to know yourself better. This will be able to have you authentically show up as you express yourself in the marketplace. Again, through website, LinkedIn, etc. This is a business owner who does gift boxes. And I just really like how, she shares from her life. She shares the things that she cares about. And yes, she's also sharing about her business, but we're getting to know her and her values. So at the end of the day, we're creating something that you particularly feel is worthwhile. You're going to stick with it. You know that you can't be everything to everyone. And this is very important for, I think, women too, is that sometimes we can be people pleasers. We don't need to be that. The right people are going to stick to you, and that's okay. The people that don't stick to you, you don't need as clients, or you don't need to work with them. So again, sharing your own story and using real images. Then we get to start to connect with the mission that ignites you, that fuels you. And this is what's going to start to create that roadmap for you so that you're going from something that maybe was wishy-washy or a little less clear to something that you are, some people call it your why. Like, why do you wake up in the morning? What drives you? So Ralph Waldo Emerson says, the only person that you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. And that goes back to, we're inventing this. We're creating the ingredients for this recipe called your brand. So you want to get to know the things that you care about, your values, but also look at what value are you creating in the lives of the people that you're serving. Not just your own personal values, home, health, God, whatever, but what value are you bringing to those that you touch? What are their outcomes? I always like to ask my brand builders, what are the pain points of the people that you're serving? What are your own personal strengths? What are your own personal passions? And what are the attributes for that? So obviously, from a big corporate standpoint, we can relate to some of these. We know Apple's mission is to provide relevant, compelling solutions that customers can get only from Apple. Again, you're creating that one linear line for the rowboat. Hulu is to help people find and enjoy the world's premium video content when and how they want it. So missions don't have to be important. They just have to be important to you. here, there's a smaller example from Dave's Killer Bread. They are a proud second chance employer. So they hire folks no matter if they have a criminal background. So they have a really, I'll show you an example later. They have a really, interesting approach to branding and marketing. It's a little in your face. But it goes again with who they are. So they're uncompromising. They believe that bread doesn't have to be boring. So this is the big corporate side. Getting to know the individuals that run the business, though, can be interesting. So again, really big companies, Oprah's network and Starbucks, very big, but you really have that transparency of the owner. So Oprah's own personal values get into her brand. Howard Schultz's personal values get into his brand. Again, it's that connectivity of the personal brand and the corporate brand. So Oprah is courageous, she's kind, sincere, truthful. This is what the organization is as well. Starbucks founder is very action oriented and focused on politics and community. Again, this is going into how he runs his stores and connects with his group. So now I think it's your turn. Maybe we could take, I don't know, 5 minutes. Is that possible, Ashley, to do a breakout? Are you set up for that or no?
I'd have to check. I am not admittedly a Zoom guru.
That's fine. Again, you guys are welcome to take screenshots, but and we can, talk through this at the end of the presentation. But
Laura, will we be able to share your presentation with the group after?
I think so. Sometimes my presentations can be pretty long, but
Okay.
if it's too big to email, I can make a shorter one.
Okay, thank you.
Feel free to take a screenshot too. I talk about attributes a lot, and I feel that attributes are very important. So attributes aren't describing what you do, because even in this small group, we all are doing, quote unquote, doing the same thing. It's about how you do it, why you do it, what wakes you up in the morning. So these are attributes that describe the brand, not the project or not the discipline. So, perhaps you do it with a sense of belonging or cleverness or enthusiasm or discovery. Maybe it's the intelligence of your approach, or maybe it's practical, pragmatic. Maybe you have a youthful approach or serene Buddhist, So I think it's important to really get clear, and you can make a really long list. I mean, here's dozens and dozens and dozens of words. And then we want to start to fit those attributes into a series of, I guess, importance. So
Laura, can I ask a quick question? Sorry. On that list of attributes, like say you're kind of rethinking your brand and how you want to communicate that of this list, because it's lengthy, and I feel like it's almost like baby naming, right? How many do you feel that like, instead of making, is it a list of 10 to start, and then you're looking to maybe narrowing it down to 5? Like what drives home that you really need to focus on? Because we can all go to the buffet, but we're only going to pick the few things that we really resonate with. And how many things should we be thinking about?
Great question. And I have an illustration a little later.
Oh, sorry.
Think of a triangle. And
My
some
OCD.
have seen the nutrition triangle. At the bottom is what in the nutrition world is what you should have the most of, and then the top is the ones that I think you're supposed to have less of. In this case, the bottom of the triangle, the fatter part of the triangle, those are the things that you share with pretty much anyone in your playing field. So in HR, I'm going to just throw out maybe being, kind, being, maybe it's the opposite, ruthless. But let's use airlines for example first. So all airlines, we would hope, would be safe. So those would be the bottom of the triangle. Safe. Maybe the middle of the triangle is what starts to set you apart from all the other airlines, maybe on time. Then in the top of the triangle, this is the thing that you hang your hat on that makes you different, for anyone, this is the one driving factor that everyone knows about you as an airline. And maybe that's comfort or cleanliness, something like that. So what I start to do is sort of what I've started to do here, where I've bolded out some of the words that resonate for me. And then once I have all the bold ones, I will separate those out. And this is going to your question, Adrian. I'll separate them all out. And then I'll start to prioritize them into, oh, you know what? Every HR consultant is resourceful. But not everyone comes to it with a sense of spontaneity or vitality. So then spontaneity and vitality might go into that middle tier. And actually youthfulness or zeal, youthfulness is, I feel like I approach it with like a young energy, always curious, a curious mind, and that would be at the top of the triangle. And then we would start to use that top of the triangle as that essence piece in the cocktail. That becomes our brand essence. But none of this can be in a vacuum, and that's why I'm going into competitors and ideal customers, is because if it's nice to have a sounding board about all of this, because if your top competitors are also doing it with resourcefulness and zeal, then there's a way to kind of niche it down and start to hone in on something that would be a little bit more ownable or interesting to that ideal customer. Peter Drucker says the aim of marketing is to know and understand the customer so well that your service fits them to a T and sells itself. And that's really, I think, about creating that recipe that is going to connect with that ideal customer. It's important to look at your competition, and it's important to look at your ideal customer when creating your brand. So here, Adrian, is that triangle that I shared about. So on the bottom, this is for a power bar company. His bottom for all power bar companies, he felt that they would be convenient, that they would have loyal customers, and be an empowering brand. The middle is the texture and the passion that the business owner has, and that it's highly nutritious. And then at the top of the triangle, it's deceptively filling. One tiny bar will fill you up for hours. It has a high degree of recommendations from experts. But this idea of pure goodness is what really resonated with the owner and turned into that brand essence that really went everywhere once we went into the creative. So once you have your set foundation for your mission, your values, you're going to start to create that ownable look and feel, that ownable branded tone of voice. And that is going to be a reflection of that authentic self that you've created. And how it looks and how you talk is really about those attributes. You always want to tie it back to the triangle and try to tie it back to the brand essence. You want to create a consistent look and feel that matches that strategic brand that you've created earlier. Something that often gets overlooked is the tone of voice. People will think about colors, typography, illustration. Sometimes you've heard of branded photography. All of that is very, very important. And as a visual designer, I love that. But it's really important to also create a ownable tone of voice that's specific to that brand called you. And earlier I mentioned Dave's Killer Bread, the ones that hire folks even with a criminal past. His identity, his look and feel, his tone of voice made for crushing it. They're not saying good for you or, there's a rock star Harley driving guy and, bright, bold, brash 80s colors. It's very unique. Once you have that tone of voice and that look and feel, we can start to get into the storytelling and getting that message out there and connecting with those customers. You're going to start to share that persona, that character, that authentic self with your community. And again, this could be in LinkedIn, it could be in groups like this, it could be networking. Maybe you do white papers or thought leadership pieces on your website, but you're ultimately going to start to communicate that problem that you solve, those pain points that you and you alone solve. Because ultimately people again are buying people. They're bridging their need to a guru or to a provider such as yourself. And they only can do that through emotions. Brands are emotional ties between you and the customer. So these brand stories are so important. And if you share more about how you solve the problems and less about what you do in terms of like case stories, case studies rather, and 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 storytelling, that's really where you can connect. The stories you tell should be personal, emotional, meaningful, and authentic, honest, and transparent. It's important to add that personality that you've just developed and become clear about. You want to keep your story simple and really focus on why your brand exists to serve those customers. Remember, the customers buy your story, not just your service. And you want them to be able to tell that story again and again out into the marketplace. And that's where we get into momentum. And you don't have to be an extrovert to be heard. It's really important for people to realize that you don't have to be a salesy person to sell it, because once you're sharing and you're sharing authentically from the heart, sharing those case studies, it's yes, it's marketing, but it's sharing. It's not selling. You can connect with your blogs. You can connect on social media. You can connect with promotions or traditional marketing. But all of this is ultimately going to improve the customer loyalty. Here's an example, again, of a different industry, but in this case, these business owners are asking their clients, asking their customers what colors their customers want to see in their products. In this case, they make jeans products. So they, again, about transparency, they're bringing it to the marketplace. They have their own agenda, of course, but they are opening it up to see what their customers ultimately want. Before they even make a jacket, they're reaching out. So they're using their stories, they're sharing videos of the vendors they're using, they're sending thank you cards with every jacket. And again, how they're doing it is really making a difference. And the people that buy these jackets are feeling connected to these business owners. They're calling it building in public. Here's another example of two sisters who are bringing, I believe it's flavor packets to the marketplace. But again, there are these videos that are sharing from the heart who the owner is. The packaging is bold and really indicative of these two sisters' culture. So this live video piece is really important. Video is a very important marketing tool right now. And a small reel or a small video on your social media sharing about, again, one of those stories, one of those branded moments can really make a difference. This is a client of mine. Some of you may know her Facebook page, Cocktails in Hell. She came to me, she was a divorce attorney who was 54 and ready to roar, and she really wanted to create a plan B. She came to me with a trademark, this idea of cocktails in hell, and didn't really know what to do with it. And we turned it into an elixir company, not alcohol, but elixir, and a Facebook community page. So she built a community with 50,000 people to really start to engage women who are ready, midlife, ready to let their hair down and, laugh out loud. And so this brand has a reverent style. It's in your face. It's bold. It's sexy. And again, this is who the owner is, and it is shown in her brand. You may not be ready for TikTok. Is TikTok ready for you? Again, it's not every brand is going to show up on TikTok, but I mentioned video being really important. Specifically for TikTok, they see it as a joyful platform rather than some of the other platforms. And because it's kind of so easy to post, people feel that the content is very believable and authentic, and most users leave feeling very positive and emotionally uplifted to the brands that they are witnessing online. So, maybe you want to do TikTok, but maybe you just want to try a video. Again, videos are very, very important in today's marketing strategies. So that is all I have today.